Hi, Barbara. This is so nice. You know, we're here on the Tree River, and we're casting lures today because we want to see what kind of fish are in here. And we haven't been fishing 20 minutes, and Barbara's already caught a fish. Okay, hon, bring him in out of that current. Yeah, a little closer. Good. See, we're fishing some of the runs that aren't too fast. So you can see where Barb and I are standing. Because the Tree River is really fast flowing, you have to fish only the areas where the fish are holding, because it's virtually impossible to fish any of the main rapids. So we're working in behind big boulders, and we're going to try fishing below some major rapids. And this is, look at how beautiful this lake trout is. We're casting these heavier spoons. I just want to let it kind of settle down here because it's rolling so much in the line. Because the current is so fast, we're casting these heavier spoons. You can see how bright the spoon is. Look at how pretty this slaker is, Barb. He's almost black. That would be perfect eating size, but we're going to be catching some fish later to do a fresh shore lunch. You can see how big and bright that spoon is. Isn't that a gorgeous fish? The Tree River is known for trophy Arctic Char, and you know the lake trout is part of the char family. So I'm not surprised that they're in here too. So I'm very carefully going to get the hook out. Hopefully it won't thrash too much. Barbie did a great job hooking them, and I'm going to keep him in the cradle. See how dark he is? He almost blends in, right, with all the rocks and everything. So they're so camouflaged. This may not be a trophy fish, but I'll tell you what, to get on light gear the way we're using, and also on fly rod, because we have been fly fishing for the Arctic Char, these guys are great sports. So one more look. He's like jewelry, Barb. Jewelry of the North. What a beautiful lake trout. Very, very dark. I'm amazed at how dark he is, Barb. I'm just going to put him back in the water, and he's going to take off, go right through these branches. Now you can see these shrubs that are growing in the water don't grow in the water. They had a lot of rain here over the last, I'd say, week. So the water is actually up about 2 feet. You can see where the water is right up onto the shrubs even down there. So because of that, the fish have been pushed in a little bit tighter to shore. So we're not making very long casts. We're just kind of plopping our baits out to the edge of the current, not letting them sink too much, because these spoons that we're using, as you can see here on the diameter, they are pretty thick. That's like a slab of metal right there. So these spoons have been specially designed to fish some of the heavier current. And because the water's a little bit discolored, notice the colors that we're using? Our good friend, the Rhodes, and Kim Rhodes especially, who makes the selection of lures and fishing accessories like the net that we have, painted these up in this color because it's one of his favorite colors to fish up in the north for lake trout, char, northern pike, and so on. So it seems to be working. That was great, Barb.
Fisher girl! Gotta have pink.
Now, does this look like it's broken? What's wrong with this picture? No, it's not a game, okay? But you can see that that bobber is sliding up and down the line. It's called a slip bobber because it's slipping up and down the line. So what I've actually done, the float has a little hole, and you put the line right through the hole. Now you might be thinking, that's great, Italo, but how do you make it stop? Well, good thing that you asked me. What you do is you tie something called a bobber stop in the line. So this is a piece of braided line, and I've wrapped some loops around the line and pulled it tight. And I've left a little tag so that if I want to tighten it, I can put it in my mouth, hold it with my finger, tighten it a little bit more to snug it up. So that way, this not only moves when I want it to, but you can see that I've got a little bead here. When the bead hits the knot, and then the float, where did it go? And then the float hits the knot, there goes the float, it stops, okay? So that's the bobber stop. Now, why would I want to use this kind of a system when I'm fishing? Well, use your imagination and let's pretend we're fishing in deeper water, 10 feet. And we want to fish with a float, but we want to have the float 10 feet away from the hook. This rod is the ultralight rod. It's the Foxy. It's only 5.5 feet long. So for me to have the 10 feet of line out, it's going to be twice as long as the rod. So it's going to be really hard to cast because my hook and everything is on the ground, right? If I had a float stuck up there. So by using a slip bobber, what I can do is put this bobber stop anywhere I want up the line, even 10 feet. And I can reel in the line so that that little bobber stop goes right onto the spool. you can see that the float always falls down to where the sinkers or the hook is. So I can make my lead from my hook to the float as long as I want. When I cast it out and the float hits the water, the sinkers pull the line down and the float is laying flat on the water until it hits the bobber stop, and then it sits upright. Okay, so the slip bobber allows you to use a very long lead, even 100 feet deep, because the little bobber stop can be reeled right onto the reel. And the line will sink until it hits to where the bobber stop is. Pretty neat system, eh?